All right, happy Halloween. Might as well get a copyright strike straight from the jump. What's up, everybody? For some reason, I cannot see my chat up in here, so I'm going to try and get that. Let's see. Let's bring this down. And let's do this. And I'm going to try and get my chat pulled up here. I don't know. Usually it shows up in OBS, but it's not. How y'all doing? It's Halloween 2025. I just got done trick-or-treating with my son. Good times, man. He's got like no less than 4 big like Kroger bags full of candy in there. Between school today, his Halloween party, and trick-or-treating and trunk or treats from church and from the school. And oh, let me slide this way. We got to add the ambiance, the pumpkin back there, the huge pumpkin. We're in the spirit, man. We're going to do the music news like we usually do. We're going to do this day in music, but what I'm really hype about is I have a new song that I just sent to the streaming services. If you watch the live streams, then you know about this song because you've watched the production of this song. So let me see if I can get my chat up here. Yeah, we're live. Let's see if I can get this. I don't know why my chat isn't showing up. Nope. Let's see. I don't know why my chat's not showing up, but anyway, we're going to premiere this song here in just a minute. I just want to see if I can get my chat to pull up because it hasn't ever done this before, and I thought it would just come up, you know, but I've obviously done something with my settings in OBS. See if I can get a quick fix, real quick. Fixing the glitches. Let's see. Yep. And let's see if I can get the chat. There it is. Okay. Nobody's here yet, but just in case some people show up, now I've got my chat. I needed that. Did y'all like Thriller, man? I had to play Thriller on Halloween because growing up, my dad has a killer system in the house, like audiophile. You know, he's got Klipschorns and Macintosh amps and Macintosh amp and Macintosh preamp, and he would always play Thriller on Halloween. He still does, you know. He's still around. And it's cool, you know. Ever since I was little, when Thriller came out, I was 3, so it's been just a staple to have Thriller on while when it's Halloween. But let's get straight into this song, man, because I'm hype about this song. This song, I sent it to DistroKid today. DistroKid's in the music news too. We're going to talk about DistroKid a little bit because they've got some new stuff going on that's cool, and it's in the music news. Actually, if you Google it, you'll see. If you Google music news, you'll see what DistroKid's doing. But I want to get right into this song, and I've got a video for you too. So this is like a tracking video here, but you all might have seen some of this process. I stopped really showing the process when I got into vocals because vocals is a more personal thing for me. And the way the studio works, there's latency involved and things like this. And I like to have my effects, or like I use micro pitch on the vocals, different things. But let's just get into this song. I'm going to play the video for you. I hope you dig it. If you do dig it, go check it out on the streaming services. It should be up tomorrow or this weekend some point. It's called Don't Be Precious. So if you type in Thirsty Deer, Don't Be Precious on YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music, any place you get your music, you'll get this song. And let's play the video and rock out a little bit, man. We're starting it off with a lot of music tonight, which is what it's all about. You know, you get a lot of these gear channels, they talk about music a lot, man, but do they make it? You know, they might do a little demo video, but I like to make the music. I like to listen to the music. I like to share it with you all. I got the guitars always right there. You know, it's Halloween. We're having a little party here. Just us, solo, you know, me, you guys in the chat. If this is your first time to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and do get in the chat. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Music production, music news, life, anything y'all want to talk about. So get in the chat, holler at your boy, and let's listen to this song, man. Once again, it's Don't Be Precious, Thirsty Deer. I'm going to give you the world premiere of Don't Be Precious, the video. And this is the exact same mix that I sent to the streaming services that you're going to hear in this song. So let's listen to it. I've got my monitors on, but I'm going to put my headphones on to listen with y'all, because if I crank the monitors up, this microphone will definitely feed back. So we don't want to do that. Here we go. You ready? Get the video for you. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't live a day inside, and I don't know why. You try with me, if you tell me to leave, just one more time, I ain't never coming back around here no more. Go and find myself, get lost in the woods. I know she'll come too. Oh, she like it rough. Don't be too pressed if you don't love what you do. I can't get what I want if I stay here with you. Don't be too precious if you don't love what you do. I can't get what I want if I stay here with you. If it stokes the fire, I'll melt the ice. Don't put her on the shelf, and don't waste her time. She's not so precious, and she don't play nice. Come on home with me, let's take all night. Don't be too precious if you don't love what you do. I can't get what I want if I stay here with you. Don't be too precious if you don't love what you do. I can't get what I want if I stay here with you. Alright, so there it is. I hope y'all dig that song, man, because it was a lot of fun making that song, and I really feel like I got the vocals to sit right in the mix. That's because I was making music, like instrumental music, for probably the first year that I was recording, and then I started doing vocals because I felt like music without vocals for me isn't a complete statement. It's not saying what I need to say. It's a partial thing, like the music picks up where the vocals leave off, and the vocals pick up where the music leaves off, and they complement each other, and they make a full picture of what I'm trying to say. So when I was only doing the music, I felt like half of what I needed to say wasn't being said, right? So I could do my thing on the drums, on the guitars, on the synthesizers, on everything, but it still wasn't saying what words could say. So I'm a little bit. I've been mixing vocals for a long time now. Like just on the streaming services, this is my 12th release since the beginning of 2024, and I feel like they all stand up, against. They've got the sound, they've got the level of like big records, and so I wouldn't do these live streams and make this music and put it out through DistroKid, which we're gonna talk about DistroKid too. If I didn't think, if it wasn't competitive for me, and if it wasn't something that I was into, I'm trying to keep the pumpkin in the shot, man. But let's get, I hope y'all get in the chat and talk to me about the music. Let me know how you feel about it. I know it's Halloween night. I'm kind of struggling to get the views up on the live streams because I've only been doing the live streams for about a month and a half, but I've been doing them a lot, about 2 or 3 a week, 3 most weeks. This week I've been really putting the finishing touches on these songs, so I don't think I've done one since Sunday. Or it could have even been last Friday, one of those days. But we got one out tonight. We're premiering a new song. We're playing some music. I really want to make this a spot that people like to come hang out at, because I'm always making music in here. I feel like I've got things I need to share with you all, and if you all have questions, get at me, because I can help you with things on production or instruments or vocals, and we like to do the music news. As I was saying, DistroKid, they've got a new thing out. It's pretty big news. I put my music out through DistroKid. It's a very easy process. There are some things, I've got videos up on my channel about things you need to be aware of if you're putting out music. Things like album covers, levels, for your music to get it competitive, and so the streaming services will play it. There's some things you need to be aware of, but DistroKid's a pretty easy and fairly inexpensive way to do it. There's different levels to things, but they've just offered a new service where you can sell merch if you're in a band, or like Thirsty Deer is how I put out my music. That's my music project, is Thirsty Deer. And if I had merch, which I don't have merch, but if people start, wanting merch and being into the music, I could do the merch through DistroKid. Now, it's brand new. I don't know how much they take off the top. It is a service they're offering. It's not going to be where you get all the profit. Like everything else with music, everybody's got their hands in there. But I think it is a cool thing, because usually, if you're an artist in 2025, you have to wear a lot of hats. You have to be a music producer. You have to play your instruments. You have to, in my case, do vocals. You have to think about your social media, mastering, all these kind of things. And there's really not a lot of money to be had unless you're like huge already. So if you're trying to build something, merch is another thing that you have to figure out. And it's great that DistroKid's doing that. Like I said, all the details aren't out there, but it's a cool thing. Let's get into some more of this music news. I talked on the last live stream about like UMG, Universal Music Group, Sony Music Group, even Spotify. Spotify has two new CEOs. The original CEO is on his way out. He's still going to have a seat at the table, but he's getting replaced. He's been a bit controversial. I imagine that has something to do with it. Something about, running guns, or how he, conducts his affairs with his money. Might not be too popular with everybody. You know, but all these platforms, Spotify, Universal Music Group, Sony, they all got together last week. It came out that they're gonna start offering artist first AI tools, whatever that means, right? Because we think AI, there's some good things about AI for artists, but for the most part, we don't want it on our platforms where we get music. We don't want like these groups like the Velvet Sundown. If you watch Rick Beato's channel, you've probably seen this video about the Velvet Sundown being an AI music group, and they've got already, when the video was posted, it was like 430,000 monthly listeners. That's a lot of monthly listeners for somebody that really has no history or no following. So that the streaming services are padding the playlists and stuff with this Velvet Sundown music, which is AI. Rick wasn't 100% sure about it, but he's pretty damn sure, and that's like all I need to know. He broke down, did stem separation on the track, found a lot of artifacts in there, and it's pretty obvious that it's AI. But what they're doing is supposed to be artist first AI music tools for artists, and I didn't know what they were talking about really. I was thinking maybe like Isotope and things like music producers use. If you're a mixer, you probably know about Isotope. If you do any music production and mixing, Isotope is like using kind of AI tools. It is AI tools to, like, if you have pops and clicks in your vocal from your mouth, you can use AI to get those out. Or you can de-reverb stuff if you've got, like in your room, if you've got more room sound in your mic, or, not very good room treatment, which I don't have a lot here, but the way these walls are, it's perfect. These walls aren't drywall. They're wood paneling. And I've got this foam up just to knock down a little bit of the high end, like from cymbals. And the way I do my vocals, and like, I like the way it sounds. I don't get too much coming back at me. Reflections with doing any of my instruments or vocals. If you heard that guitar solo, so I really love that guitar solo. It has a little bit of post-processing on it, but I usually play these amps in here. Usually my music is 99% tube amps. Sometimes there'll be a part in there. There was a part in there that I did direct through a rat pedal direct, and reamped it, or put it on an amp sim plug-in, the PT100. But mainly it's a direct sound with the rat pedal on. And then sometimes I'll use an amp sim, but most of the stuff is real amps that I play in here. And I've got 100-watt amps. There's a half stack of Mesa Boogie dual rectifier right there behind the camera. It's a Tremo Verb dual rectifier. I got it in the mid-90s, 95. And it's a great sounding amp. Usually I run it on 3. And it, it's got a sound to it like that. Sometimes it can get a little fizzy. But for that guitar solo, I used the vintage high gain mode, which I like that a lot. I like the modern too. It's different, the modern's more, a little more not as spongy, but they're both great. And if you're looking for more like a AC/DC type lead sound, I put the gain halfway up, and on this track I was running them at 5, which 5 will blow your pants legs, and you hear the sound for sure, but you actually feel it in your chest when you're playing a 100-watt half stack on 5 with the gain on halfway or more. And like, my son was in the other room, and I was like, I'm gonna limit this to 5 passes. and I got it in 2, right? So I put that solo down. I was very happy with the tone. I didn't do much to it, but I did put like some Valhalla on it in post, just because I was gonna use the sound like it was. It sounded great like that, but adding that little bit of modulation, and it was only blended in at maybe 35 or 40%. So mostly what you're hearing is the amp, with unaffected, but you do hear that swirl in there, and it really just added something to the track to have that little bit of movement in on that guitar solo. But I was really happy with this amp, and I was running the Twin over there. I have a 67 Twin Reverb, a drip edge Twin, and I was running it hotter too, and you can kind of kick down the preamps a little bit, and it really just, I don't have the cabs in a separate room or anything. I'm right in here with it, and I used room mics on this song. I was really happy with that. I tried to do some things different. I have some new mics. I have a new Royer and some things I'm doing different, and every time I add some mics or something to the projects, I'm very happy with how it turns out. Sometimes you don't use all those things. Like on a Royer, using the Royer, I really feel the difference even more on the big 4x12 cab, because there's a lot of low end in there, and you can get some of that with the Royer, but you don't want too much. You still want a high pass, but it really is great on the 4x12. I like it on the Twin too. The Twin has the JBL in it. I like it, the Royer mixed with the 57 on the Twin too, but not as much, as it's not as noticeable, the difference, as it is when you're blending a 57 and an R10 Royer on a big 4x12 cab. If you have a 4x12 cabinet, try that, man. 57 will get you a sound, but if you're looking for something more 90s or anything on a big cabinet, and you just want to get a little more body to the sound, that Royer is the shit. But let's talk about some more stuff, man. I want to talk about this music. I want to talk about the music news. Let's talk about Stankonia, because on October 31st, 2000, Outkast released Stankonia, and that I was 20 when that album came out, and I remember hearing B.O.B. Bombs Over Baghdad for the first time, and I was at these girls' house watching The Sopranos, so that was brand new, and that was a pretty big album, even for a mainly rock guy like me. I always loved hip hop and rap too, but Outkast is putting out a three CD box set, or three, however you get it. I guess it's 3 CDs. I don't know if they're putting it up on streaming like that too, but a re-release of Stankonia. Of course, I'm Sorry, Miss Jackson, and what's the other one? There was quite a few good songs on that record. That was released in 2000. So I like to talk about big music events on this day on the pod, and kind of go over some big things. And that was a big thing in my life. Another big thing in my life is the Beatles. And in 1963, the Beatles were coming back from Sweden to London. They got into Heathrow Airport in London, getting off the plane to a huge crowd. Fans, Beatlemania was getting started, so you can imagine how it was. And at the airport at the same time was Ed Sullivan. So that was how Ed Sullivan took note of the Beatles for the first time. And it wasn't much longer after that. I think it was February of 64. So you're looking at 4 months maybe. Early February too. So Ed Sullivan definitely wanted you to get the Beatles on after that meeting in the airport where he saw the fans going crazy. So that's a big thing that happened on Halloween. in 1963. I've got in the music news too. Last time I talked about Queens of the Stone Age, and the Foo Fighters are doing like a co-headlining or a joint tour. And I wanted to just mention that again because I did get one thing wrong. It was just like a slip where I said Dave Grohl played on that Foos album. I meant to say he played on the Queens of the Stone Age album. I even put out a short about it, the one with No One Knows, Songs for the Deaf. I said Songs for the Deaf, but I said it was a Foo Fighters album. I even put out a short about it just to kind of poke fun at myself. And, you know, that short actually got quite a few views. But I just wanted to mention that it would be very cool to see Dave Grohl get up with Queens of the Stone Age and play on, like, No One Knows and those songs from the Def album songs. I love the Foos. I love Queens of the Stone Age, too. I'd like to go see that tour, so we'll see what happens. How's your Halloween? Get in the chat. Talk to me about how your Halloween is going. Do you have little ones that you take out trick-or-treating? Like, it's been so awesome. My son is 5, and we're just having a blast, man. You know, once Halloween hits, then it's like, it's a quick run up till Christmas, Black Friday, you know, Thanksgiving, then New Year's Eve, and then we're into 2026. So I've got high hopes for music in the new year, and I'm going to be working my ass off on music in the new year, and I'm going to be doing this. So subscribe to the channel if you like this type of thing. You know, if you like hearing music, if you like learning about production, if you like learning guitar stuff. I've got a guitar right here. We can just like listen to some sounds if you want to for a minute too. I've got more music news and stuff, so I just want to play because it's Halloween. It's like, you know, let's play and have fun. Let's see. This is a direct sound, so I'm going through an amp sim. I just gotta hit the DI. Let's see. Get a pick I like. I was playing this thing today. Like, I even though this song is just coming out, I just sent it to the streaming services today. I've already started on a new one, and it was a little riff like. I can't remember it now. Down a half step. Oh yeah, I was doing a cool thing with this too. Let's see. I got a mess of cables over here, but like I played 2 sections, like an A and a B section, recorded it through the dual rectifier with that R10 on. So this isn't getting that tone, but it's cool. You can hear the pick probably because of that mic, but it was the B section was like. I didn't really, like, we were out trick-or-treating until right before this. That's a Bigsby pedal, so I had no warm-up time, but I was playing a lot today. These Bigsby pedals, man. I've just got it set where it'll go down or up a half step, or a full step. You can even set it where it'll go up a half step or a whole step and then make it go down an octave. You can set it so many different ways. You can do a lot of cool stuff with this Bigsby pedal, but I'm tuning half a step down. So I need my jack or my cable. I think it's my jack. Hang on. You know, it's live. Just started doing this. This is an old guitar, not crazy vintage, but it's there's a cool story about this guitar. This is a R4, but it actually came out the year before the R4. So this is a dealer custom. It's called 54 reissue. So it's basically like, they still do this kind of thing now called like the Wildwood Customs, and if you order a guitar from a shop back in the day, it was called Dealer Custom. Man, my cable. We probably ain't gonna play a lot of guitar. I don't know why. Probably need deoxys. I've got some, but surprised me how good the guitars have been staying in tune when it's getting cold in Louisville. So, if you don't know about the channel, I'm just outside of Louisville, Kentucky, actually across the bridge in southern Indiana. And, Louisville's cool. You know, all the YouTubers, man, they're all from Nashville. Guitar YouTubers. So this tone is just going into a clone, a Warm Audio Centavo, and then going into Jim's 45 amp sim. And then straight into Chandler TG2. Sounds good to me. Of course not, you know, like the big amps, but you can write music this way. At like 4 a.m. before I get ready to go to work, before I go out the door to go to work, when I get up and get ready, I usually come in here and play or work on a song. And if I have an idea at that time of the morning, I record it through this setup, and it works good, and then I just go back and retrack it later. Oh, there is some timeline delay too. I keep like a carbon copy, a Strymon Flint, and a timeline up on my desk because I also mix with those pedals. And then my other like drive pedals, I even have a C2W chorus over here on this pedal board. And then I've got the Bigsby and the Keeley I Get Around Rotary, which that's a great pedal. Let's turn that on. Right here at my feet. Because I have to be able to use the Bigsby pedal, so I got to keep it right here at my feet. If I'm using a drive pedal, I can just turn them on, leave them on for a while. But and also the Keeley, it's just one of my newest modulations, and I like it a whole lot, and I've been using it a whole lot, so I've got it right here where I can. So that's fast. Let's slow it down. Actually, that might have been the slower setting. I've got it where it's not much. The brake mode is very cool on this, so let me turn that on. It has really almost like a cocked wall sound. What time is it? Okay. Still got I want to hit this, this day in history stuff, the music news stuff. But shit, nobody's on here right now. I might as well play. Alright, anyway, just play a little bit. Sometimes I go through the whole live stream, don't play anything. Everybody's doing the Halloween thing. Nobody's on. Some people will definitely catch this later, though. So, if you are one of the ones that catch this later, I play music. Like on that song that you heard, you saw me playing the drums in the video. There is no sample replacement on those drums or augmentation. That's the real drums. I mix the drums the way I want them to sound, and that's the sound I use. And because I like this room, I use room mics, and I can get the sounds I want through compressors. I've got hardware compression. I use the in-the-box compressors, and I get the sounds that I want at the source. Now, I do use some sound library stuff when I'm playing synths, but I also have an analog synth over here. It's a Poly D from Behringer. Let's see, it's covered up, but it's right here under this cover right here. You can see the keys. That's an analog synth, Poly D from Behringer. It's basically a mini Moog. It is a mini Moog copy, and it's great. To me, it sounds just like a mini Moog. Like in a mix. I don't know if, in the room, if it would be that same sound, but when you record it, man, it sounds great. But when I use sound library stuff, like it's usually synth sounds or pads that I play on this little MIDI controller down here, and that's I use it for automation on my mixes too. It's just a little Akai APC. The APCs are called Ableton Performance Controllers. But if you don't use Ableton, or even if you do, you could also get an MPC MIDI controller keyboard to do your automation for any DAW. This APC is just made specifically for Ableton, and that's how I make my music. So when I got one, I figured this would probably be, for the size and everything that I wanted, this would probably be the best option because it's made specifically for Ableton. So check that one out, man. Those things are only $100, and I do a lot of mixing stuff with that, and I play a lot of sounds in with Sound Library sounds on that, and it sounds great. I have a pretty simple workflow. I've got some good analog gear here. I've got some good instruments here. I can get good sounds. So I don't like to use sample replacements and things like that. I like to think about music old school, like I remember hearing it. I heard Tom Petty say back in the 90s, why would you use somebody else's sounds if you have, if you're in the studio, that's the creative part. That's the art, is getting your sounds and writing the songs. And I believe that. And that's why I do gear stuff. Like if I get a piece of gear that I really like, I'll do a video about it. I've done several of them, and they do well a lot of times. But it's really just a tool to make music for me. Like a lot of people just collect gear, and I don't know how much music they make with it. Maybe they make a lot, but it's a lot of people don't put out the music. Or maybe some people just, I know there are people who just collect like studio gear, and you really don't hear about them working on projects. Which is cool if that's your thing. I'm not gonna knock anybody's thing if they're keeping the music community afloat by buying gear, helping out. Good on you. But everything I have in this studio, for me, is about making music. Music is like a therapy for me. Even if I'm not making it, if I'm just going through shit and I put on music that I love, or making it, either one, I get something out of both those things. I get a lot out of both those things. So it's very important. But I've gotten sidetracked. Let's talk about some more of these things that happened on Halloween historically. So in 1962, the Monster Mash came out and is still the biggest like Halloween record that everybody plays. In 67, a group called the Psychedelic Stooges played their first gig on Halloween, and it was a very different thing from what Iggy and the Stooges became at this time. Like, they used a lot of feedback, and Iggy would have a vacuum cleaner and different things that he used. Very psychedelic, acid style music at the time. Somebody described it as like an airplane landing in the room where the concert was. But the first time Iggy and the Stooges played a show, even though it was under the name the Psychedelic Stooges, it later became the Stooges. And Funhouse and those albums, and Iggy Pop, of course, is like a legend. I saw Iggy Pop. He opened for Pearl Jam in the 90s. It was either, I saw him in like 95 and like 98, and it was one of those, and the crowd threw shit at him, threw like food at him and shit, and practically they did boo him off stage. It was crazy, but it was cool. I've seen Iggy Pop, so that's cool. I love this stuff, like when him and Bowie were doing their thing. And that brings us to the next big thing that happened on Halloween. In 1969, David Bowie played a show where he got booed off stage, coincidentally. he played Space Odyssey. Let's see. I didn't put. I think this was in London. I didn't put the gig on there, but he played Space Odyssey, and then he sat down on a stool and read poetry for the rest of the gig. So you get Space Oddity, you're getting geared up for music, and then Bowie sits down and reads poetry, and they ran him off stage, booed him off stage. But I'd have to sit and listen to Bowie read poetry if that's what Bowie wanted to do, because he's the man. Then in 1970, Led Zeppelin 3 began a 4-week run at number one. Great Zeppelin album. What can you say about Zeppelin? And then 74 is another Zeppelin on Halloween in 74. Zeppelin launched their label, their label. I don't know if it was like the reason I said, I don't know if Swan Song, I guess it was a subsidiary of another label. Kind of like, I guess, the Beatles having Apple Records, but, Peter Grant, I'm sure, was big involved in Swan Song, and they had a launch party, this crazy launch party. Also, Bad Company was at this party because they were on Swan Song, and the Pretty Things. And so this party, they had nuns in suspenders serving drinks. They had a naked girl covered in jelly. They had naked wrestlers in a cave. So I guess this party was attached to a cave somehow. I've still got my headphones on from listening to the amp sim while I was playing. So just a crazy party in 74 for Zeppelin launching Swan Song, which, like if you've seen Song Remains the Same, I think even those projects came out under Swan Song. Zeppelin were huge. Everything they did was amazing and went, gold, platinum, whatever back then. Now, things started going platinum a lot more in the 90s. Gold was huge before that. It's just weird how music changed like that. You would think in the 60s and 70s would be the time when everything sold more. But I guess not everybody had the access to music in the same way. I don't know. It's weird because you really hear more about gold records and stuff prior to the 80s, and then you start hearing about more things going platinum. But regardless, Zeppelin, crazy ass party, 74. Then in 75, one of the just classic songs, and what's great about this song is the kids are now back into this song. Every once in a while, I remember when I was a teenager, it made a resurgence because of Wayne's World. Mike or Wayne and Garth in the car singing Bohemian Rhapsody, and Garth, or maybe Wayne threw. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. One of them threw up in the car. He was gonna hurl. But Bohemian Rhapsody was released in 75 on Halloween. And at the time of release, it was the most expensive single ever recorded. There's no real number associated with this statistic that it was the most expensive, but it was just known that it was the most expensive, and people didn't know how much it was, but they knew it was crazy expensive. So at that time, Bohemian Rhapsody was the most money anyone had ever dumped into a single, and money well spent. In 88, so we skip a few years here. In 88 on Halloween, Soundgarden's debut album, Ultra Mega OK, came out. And, Soundgarden is a band I love. Chris Cornell, all that stuff. Soundgarden was huge in the 90s. For me, it was like Nirvana, STP, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Like, that's who it is for everybody, right? if you're around then, because those bands were making just like some of the coolest sounding records, talking about and coming out of hair metal and all that shit, getting some like legitimate great music that wasn't just about how high your hair was. And you know, a lot of bands like Poison, uh, like, you know, some of these guys weren't the greatest on their instruments, you know, probably didn't deserve to be there, but because of their look and their swagger, how they carried themselves, that's, you know, where their fame was. And then you get real musicians like Soundgarden and STP and Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam, real musicians with something to really say. Nirvana, you know, broke the doors open, and it just changed everything. The music was completely different, and it was, man, it was a great time to, like, that's when I was learning to play music. Uh, Smells Like Teen Spirit came out in 91. I started playing drums in 92, and then I started playing guitar in 93. And so, like, I was learning all that stuff as I was learning to play, and it's killer, and, you know, love it. Anyway, that song, like, that music just is very special for me. And so that's my period that I love, along with, like, No More Than, the 60s and 70s stuff, like the Stones, those three albums from Sticky Finger, or really four or five albums. You could really say from Beggar's Banquet to Goat's Head Soup. All those Mick Taylor records, just amazing. All the Beatles stuff. I talked about Bad Company. I love Bad Company. Just, you know, Hendrix, Pink Floyd, all these groups. That music, and then in the 90s, that 90s stuff that we just talked about, those are equally, hold an equal place in my heart. And my love for music is those eras of music. Then in 89, we got the very first MTV Unplugged, and it's from a band called Squeeze. Bob Clearmountain, if you're into music production, Bob Clearmountain has done a lot of the Squeeze records. Cool stuff. And Clearmountain loves Squeeze. And Bob Clearmountain's one of the greatest mixers ever. You know, he's the reason mixers started getting points or percentage points on records. You know, he made being an independent mixer a thing. And in 89, MTV Unplugged kicked off with Squeeze. I've never seen that one. I'd like to see that. I didn't even know they did an MTV Unplugged. Then in 94, Plant and Page did No Quarter. No Quarter came out, I think, on Halloween. I just have Plant and Page and No Quarter. And then in 97, Jane's Addiction reunited at the Hammerstein Ballroom. And I have a cool story for this, because in 97 I met Perry Farrell in Los Angeles just before this gig. I was walking down Sunset Boulevard and going to Tower Records, actually. And because there was a concert at Tower Records, I'd been to Tower Records earlier in the day. And there was just like, it wasn't like one band, you know, doing, you know, some kind of promotion or something. It was like 6 or 7 bands playing, right? Sharing the bill. And I was going down to listen to some music, and walking by me with a girl on each arm was Perry Farrell. And I stopped him. I didn't ask for an autograph or anything like that, but I was like, "Aren't you Perry Farrell?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Good to meet you, man." I said, "What's Jane's Addiction doing? Are y'all getting back together?" He said, or maybe, yeah, yeah. He said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Indiana." And he said, "You can probably catch us in Indiana." Because they had already, I guess, announced that they were touring already, and they were doing a tour. and I don't know if they actually played Indiana, but he said you should be able to see us soon, right? And I still haven't seen Jane's Addiction. I don't guess I'll get the chance to now after recent events, but it was very cool. I think that might have been the first time I met a rock star, and it was very impressive. With he looks pretty high, and had a girl on each arm, and I was impressed. And I've met a couple since then, and it's always cool. But Perry, because actually speaking to him, he sat there and talked to me for a few minutes, and it was cool. But we're getting close to 10 o'clock. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna play another song for you. Shit, I'm gonna play the same one again because it's it's the pre-release party. Let's play it again and roll out. This is Don't Be Precious. I hope you have a happy Halloween and a great rest of your weekend. And I'll see you in November.